I've had numerous conversations with friends and family who missed an opportunity to speak with someone that they loved before they died. I want to make this video because I want to encourage you, if that's your situation now, just stop watching this video and go see them. This is your sign. Go visit them. My friend that I was talking to recently, he wanted to see his mother. He thought he had more time than he did, and she passed away, and he missed that opportunity. And I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to have the opportunity to see that loved friend, to see that loved family member, a cousin, a parent, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent. I want you to have the opportunity to see them before it's too late. I don't want you to have the regret of missing that opportunity. If there's someone in your life that fits this description, go see them. Work will be there when you get back. Responsibilities, whatever it is that's holding you back, just go, just move. I'd like to share with you in this video a few opportunities that I had to spend those last moments with two people that I know and love, two family members, where I got to be with them on that last day, and what those experiences were like. And I wanted to share these stories with you as an encouragement to go lean into those opportunities that you might have, because it's one of those things where if you miss it, you can't undo it. And I don't want you to have that regret. One of the reasons that me and my wife moved here to Atlanta from Arizona, we went on our honeymoon to Hawaii. We were living in Arizona, and essentially as soon as we got back from our honeymoon, we packed up everything and we moved to Atlanta. And one of the reasons that we moved to Atlanta is because we had some family here. My great grandmother lived here. She was 99. Her name is Maud Plunkett. I'd never met her. I knew about her. I got to visit her shortly before we moved here, but that was the first time that I ever had the opportunity to actually meet my great grandmother on my mother's side of the family. She was 99 when we moved here. Hi, Grandma.
Oh my, what is that?
It's my camera.
Is that a gift?
No, we got it a little while ago.
Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, don't take me close up.
They're taking pictures of you. So there's Grandma and her young, youthful self. She actually ended up living another 10 years. She died just weeks before her 110th birthday, which was also right when our son was about to be born. So she passed away, and then our son was born just weeks after that moment.
Meet your new baby brother, Eli.
The day that she passed away, the day that she died, was a unique experience for me, and it was unexpected in a lot of ways. But the day that it happened, it was a providential prod that my wife had. She just had this sense that today was the day. She said we needed to go see my great-grandmother because if we didn't go today, we wouldn't get the chance to do it later. And I'd spent about a decade with my great-grandmother and her wonderful daughter, my great Aunt Judy, who took care of her and helped her during those last years of her life. We could have waited. We could have said, well, we'll go tomorrow or we'll go later. But if we had, we would have missed that opportunity because that night was the night that she died. And so this was just a few hours before that would have happened. And if we wouldn't have acted on Kate's intuition and moved and did it immediately, we would have missed this opportunity to see my great-grandmother in her final moment. And by going, I was given a gift, and I want to share a little bit about that gift. Now, if you've ever seen someone in those last moments, then you know what it can be like. My great-grandmother was, again, just weeks before 110, and you might be able to imagine just how much 110 years can do to the human body. My great-grandmother was on the edge of death. And my aunt, my great Aunt Judy, who took care of her so well, one of the things that happens when you're close to death, when you're on that end, is your saliva stops. Your mouth becomes dry. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. And my great Aunt Judy, what she would do is she had this little sponge, and she'd take the little sponge and she would wetten it, and then she'd put it inside of my great-grandmother's mouth and moisten it up for her. And she just did that, and it just was this striking moment that made me think of Christ on the cross. It was just a visceral connection to that moment on the cross where I saw what it was like for Jesus in that moment, and also what it was like to serve someone in that position of vulnerability and suffering and on the edge of death. So my great Aunt Judy, my great-grandmother's daughter, was just embodying this love and this service to her mom in the last moment. I'm working on my third book. It's called From the Garden to the Cross. And it was such a striking moment that I've actually decided to include that in this book. And I want to just read that to you so you can get a little bit more of what I'm talking about. Before I read the passage that relates to my great-grandmother and my great-aunt, I want to just give you the scene that's happening on the cross. And this is what I call crossing the chasm. At noon, a total blackout of darkness blocked the sun and fell over the area for 3 hours. Jesus did not speak during the dark, but at 3 in the afternoon he cried out with a loud voice, my God, why have you abandoned me?" Those still standing nearby responded, "See, he's calling for Elijah." Knowing his work was now finished and scripture fulfilled, Jesus spoke once more, "I am thirsty." An observer ran to a nearby jar of sour wine. They soaked a sponge with wine, attached a hyssop branch, and lifted the sponge up to Jesus' mouth to drink. Other observers spoke as this occurred, "Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." After receiving that sour wine, Jesus spoke, "It is finished." With a loud cry, Jesus exerted his final words with his last breath, "Father, into your hands I entrust my spirit." Jesus bowed his head, giving up his spirit. The temple curtain of the sanctuary was ripped in half, down the middle of the top to the bottom as an earthquake shook the land, and rocks were split. The tombs of the people and saints who fell asleep were raised when their tombs were opened. The overseeing centurion, standing across, witnessed Jesus' final breath and felt the earthquake. He proceeded to glorify God by speaking the following to those remaining, "Truly this man was righteous and the Son of God." The gathering crowds watched the spectacle beat their chests before going home when they witnessed what unfolded. But all who knew Jesus remained. Following from Galilee to Jerusalem, the serving woman had watched everything unfold from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary Clopas, and Mary Salome. They were steadfastly serving. So that's what's happening on the cross. And I have a commentary where I bring in the story of my great-grandmother and my great-aunt. This section is called "All We Can Do Is Trust." I've got an unexpected connection to this moment of thirst on the cross. One of the factors that drove our choice to move from Arizona to Atlanta was my great-grandmother, Maud Plunkett, and her daughter, my mom's Aunt Judy. When we moved here in 2005, my great-grandmother was 99. A little over 10 years later, she was finally about to meet our Maker. On her final day on Earth, my wife Kate had a sense that we should go visit her today as the end was nearing. So we went to my Aunt Judy's house. I arrived to see my great-grandmother, Maud Plunkett, lying in her deathbed. Her body had broken down, and her legs were distinctly decayed. Close to death, her mouth was not making saliva, and the dryness was irritating her. This is a common occurrence to those in the final process of dying. Unlike the mocking people around Christ, my great Aunt Judy, one of the most loving people in the world, dipped a sponge in water and patted her mouth down to moisten it, while I held my great-grandmother's helpless and dying hand. For a moment I saw Jesus in his utter vulnerability, and my great-grandmother, and through the servant heart and actions of my great-aunt, who had diligently taken care of her for many years. It is in this place of complete dependency that all we can do is trust. That is what it means to be human. That is the foundation of which our life must be based. It was a powerful moment, and one that I'm grateful to have been a part. I have more to share with you. Another story is related to my great-grandmother as it relates to her son. But before I do, I want to talk about this video. I have a sponsor, and this sponsor is a friend of mine. Her name is Blessing Jonas, and she owns a business called Dominion Revenue Solution. Unlike most of us in America, those that work in the hospice industry are not shielded from death. Seeing death is something that is a hard thing to do, but in the ancient world, it was all around them. They saw it all the time. But in the modern world, a lot of times we're shielded from it. Even during the pandemic in 2020, when a lot of people were dying, you heard about it, you might have saw pictures, you might have known a person or two in your life, but as many people that passed away and died, a lot of people, we didn't actually see that. We didn't see the death part. And so there's something about experiencing that. And those that are in the hospice industry get a chance to help those that are facing that every day. But they also need to be compensated for what they're doing. They have to get paid for the service that they're providing, even though it is an important mission. And so my friend's business, Dominion Revenue Solutions, they help hospice agencies make sure that they get paid for the work that they're doing, whether it's from government funding or from insurance companies. Dominion Revenue Solutions helps build a system so that hospice agencies can get paid and continue to do the work that is meaningful and important in our society. And it also lets them focus on that mission without having to worry about the business side of things. Blessing and her company were generous enough to sponsor this video on my YouTube channel so that I could share these stories with you. And so if you're in the hospice industry or you know somebody who has a hospice agency, I'd encourage you to have them check out Dominion Revenue Solution. They help you get paid. They help you increase your cash flow so you're not struggling to pay the bills. And they also help hospice agencies build a system and a program that just allows them to continually make sure they're being compensated for the wonderful work that they're doing. If you'd like to learn more about them, you can check out their website at dominionrevenue.com. That's dominionrevenue.com. I'll also include a section at the end of this video that goes into more detail about Dominion Revenue Solutions and what they can offer for you as a hospice agency. So thanks again, Blessing and Dominion Revenue Solutions, for sponsoring this video and allowing me the opportunity to share these stories and encourage other people to go see that person that may be in their final weeks, their final months, to spend that time with those people that they love. Now, I had countless memories over the years during those 10 years that we moved to Atlanta with my great grandmother and my great aunt Judy. But I also had the great opportunity to spend time with my great uncle, Uncle Norman. Uncle Norman Plunkett. When I was growing up, I never knew about him, but I had his email and I heard about him. And I would send out emails to my friends about these barbecues we were doing and youth events at the church. And he somehow got included in these email threads, and I would email him and he would send me these absurd responses about him being unable to fly across the country to attend this time, but maybe next time. And he was always a joker. So we would joke back and forth via email. And at some point, he learned I was graduating and he sent me a copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That was his graduation gift to me. And so I had started to develop this connection with my great uncle Norman. And even though I'd never met him in person and had only interacted via email, those were seeds that he planted, relationship seeds that he planted, that he cultivated over time, that had an influence eventually in us deciding to go to Atlanta. And so when we moved here, not only was my great grandmother, my great aunt, who lived together, a great sanctuary for just the journey that we were on, moving across the country, starting life over again, being married for the first time, living away from home. It was also my great uncle, my mom's uncle, Norman, lived down the street from my great grandmother. So it was also an extension of connecting with family that I had never connected with, and now I had a chance to spend life with them. And during the almost 20 years that we've been here now, a good deal of those first several years, we spent a lot of time at my great uncle Norman's house. We were living in a hotel for a little bit because the condo that we were moving into wasn't ready. So we spent a lot of evenings and dinners at his house as opposed to staying in that hotel. And then once we ended up moving into the condo, we would continue to visit him and his son, as well as other members of the family. My great mother passed away almost a decade ago now, and my great uncle Norman passed away about 2 years ago in October. And like my great grandmother's last day, my wife had a sense, had a serendipitous intuition, a providential prod. This might be the last time we get to see him, so we should go. And we acted on it. We went and saw him that day. And he was not doing very well either. We had all of our kids with us, and we decided to bring them with us. We decided we didn't want to shield them from death. We didn't want to shield them from seeing him or suffering. We wanted them to have the opportunity to say goodbye. We all shuffled into his little apartment and into his room where he was being there. And like my great aunt Judy, his son, Chris, was steadfastly taking care of his father in those last few months that he was struggling. There was also other people in the community, that his friends and other family members, that were partaking in that service because of the challenges he was facing. He had to have his leg amputated and his health declined very rapidly after that surgery. And this was the day that he was going to pass away later that evening. And Kate had that sense, let's go see him. So we stopped by. He was having a good moment. We spent about a half an hour talking with him, being with him. The kids got to see him. We got to say goodbye, and we had that moment with him. Moment to see him, moment to see everyone that was serving him, and we had that opportunity to say goodbye. And that's my encouragement to you. If you get nothing else out of this video, if you have someone that you love and that you know, go see them. You may not have a chance. And the gift that you get in seeing them, it may be something that you get to cherish for the rest of your life. It may be a gift that you won't ever be able to let go, that you won't ever be able to get back in any other way. I'm talking about death here, and so it's going to bring up a lot of feelings. For you, for me, for everyone. I've had a lot of family members, just as I've gotten older, I'm 40 now, that have passed away. And there'll be more that pass away later. And that's going to be the case for you. But I'm a Christian. And one of the things that it means to be a Christian is that we believe that Jesus overcame death. Jesus died on the cross. That's something I shared with you in my book, and that's something that happened. But the end of the story isn't that he died. The end of the story is that he resurrected. Christians, we can mourn the death of someone because that person has been taken from us. That person has been removed from our life, and we can mourn that loss, and we should. But as a Christian, we can also celebrate that death, because the death is not the end. They're passing away from this life into the next. And God created humans to be with him. That's what it means to be at home. It's to be with God. It's to be in that community of God. And when we die, we have the opportunity to spend that eternity, to spend the rest of life with God. We have the choice to rejoin and go deeper into that relationship and that family of God. And that's what happens at death. We get that chance if we embrace the life of Jesus, the work he did on the cross, and the resurrecting power that lives in us to accept those gifts. So we can celebrate my great grandmother's passing. We can celebrate my great uncle Norman's passing, despite their imperfections, despite their many failures, their many sins, their many falling short. God doesn't see them through that brokenness. He sees them through the perfection of Jesus. Jesus, the perfection of Jesus on the cross. He's looking at his children, he's looking at you and me, he's looking at my great-grandmother, my great-uncle, as if he were looking at his own son, Jesus. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to lean into and embrace death, not to be scared of it. Once we recognize that Jesus has overcome death and he has given us life beyond death, then that fear is something that we can train out of us and we can push aside and not be controlled by it. We need not fear because we can have courage. And that goes back to that passage I shared with you, is when we are ultimately dependent. And death is where we are ultimately dependent. There's nothing we can do to stop it. There's nothing we can do to control what happens when it happens. And so we're utterly dependent and trusting that God has got us, that Jesus is going to catch us in that fall. If that's something that you're interested in, I'd encourage you to explore it further. Grab your Bible and pull out the New Testament, pick the book of Luke, start reading, read the book of Acts, learn about Jesus' story. If this is something you think is true, I encourage you to dive into that, see where it takes you. I share these stories, I share this message with you because if there's only two things that you take away from this video, the first is if you have someone in your life right now that you need to go see, that their life is coming to an end, go see them. Go now. Stop waiting. Go see them. Don't wait. I've done a lot of waiting in my life. And a lot of times I've waited too long and I missed the opportunity. And there are other times, like in these stories that I've shared with you, where we acted on it, thankfully, because of my wife. And I had those opportunities because we responded to that moment. And I want that for you. I want you to have that story where you got to see them. I don't want you to have the story where you missed that opportunity. The second thing I want to leave with you, I want you to live an intentional life. I want you to live the type of life that you have the type of relationship and to spend the type of time you do with the people that you love and the people that you know so that you have an abundance of memory that accrue over time. And so whether that last opportunity in their last moments is an opportunity that you get to have or not, you've had such an abundance of time with those people you love that there's no regret. You're not worried about pushing off that time to the last moment that you may or may not have, but that you actually took advantage of those opportunities every single day along the way. Live the life you want to live with the people you love and care about. Figure out ways to make those happen. Plan those events, get-togethers, gatherings, barbecues. That's what I used to do in high school. Plan these gatherings of people I love, and I want you to go see that person. For those of you in the hospice industry that have a hospice agency, I'm going to leave you with this final video from Dominion Revenue Solutions. They're a company that can help you focus on your mission so you don't have to worry about getting paid. I encourage you to learn more about them. Visit their website. Reach out to Blessing. She'd be happy to talk with you. And thank you so much, Blessing and Dominion Revenue Solutions, for sponsoring this video and helping me to share this message with so many awesome, amazing people around the country. I'm Jason Scott Montoya, and I'll see you on the next one.
You care about your patients. You don't want to waste countless hours collecting overdue Medicare, Medicaid, and commercial insurance claims. We care about you. That's why we want to enable your patient care by eliminating the billing challenges your agency faces. With decades in the medical billing industry, we discovered a better way for home health and hospice agencies to get the money they deserve. Leaving money on the table is not an option for your organization. This frustration of wanting to grow your agency while being hamstrung by overdue invoices is the dynamic that birthed Dominion Revenue Solutions. We eliminate your billing problems so you're free to focus on what matters most, your patients. We're more than a medical billing company. We're a revenue transformation partner, bringing clarity and peace of mind. DRS is not just about helping you get the money you're owed, but preventing the problems that cause the loss of money in the first place. Outsource your billing with Dominion Revenue Cycle Management, Dominion RCM. Tap into Dominion Cash Flow for your revenue recovery projects. Or learn about accelerating your agency growth with Dominion Expansion. To start achieving financial freedom through 99% collection rates in 90 days, contact Dominion Revenue Solutions today. Find lost money, improve cash flow, and maximize revenue with Dominion Revenue Solutions.